Okay, so let's just dive right in. There's this core idea that most of the reality we operate in is completely invisible.
Exactly. The things that really drive decisions or conflict or success,
Mm.
you can't see them.
But, and this is the key, the effects of that invisible reality, those are visible. They're broadcasting themselves all the time if you know how to look.
It's about shifting your entire focus. You have to move away from what people say and start paying attention to what they do, to how they react to these invisible forces.
Right. You don't need to be a mind reader. You just need to be a really good observer of
A
reactions.
master observer.
And we've all felt this, you know. You're sitting in a coffee shop and there's a couple at the next table. And on the surface, the conversation is totally normal.
Mundane even. They're talking about what to do this weekend.
Just logistics. But you can feel it. The subtext is just screaming.
Well, absolutely. The words are neutral, right? But maybe the woman has her arms crossed. She's leaning away slightly.
Mm.
And the man, he keeps putting his hands flat on the table, almost like he's bracing himself.
And you, just as a bystander, you read the whole situation. The conversation isn't really about weekend plans. It's about some unspoken issue creating this palpable tension.
You've just understood the truth of their interaction, not from their words, but from observation. And that's the big takeaway for you listening. People are constantly, automatically responding to these invisible drivers.
Things like office politics or social status or a fight they just had.
And those unfiltered responses show you exactly what their carefully chosen words are trying to hide.
So this brings us to what you call the Miru principle.
Right. The idea is that every single interaction is actually two conversations happening at the same time, in parallel.
Okay, so you have the spoken one.
The one for public consumption, yeah, the official version. And then you have the unspoken one, which is constantly reflecting the true dynamic. It's the mirror.
But here's a question. If we know people are, managing their image, trying to look professional, why is that unspoken conversation so reliable? Aren't we just reading too much into someone crossing their arms because they're, cold?
That's a really important distinction. We're not looking for one single isolated cue. That's a mistake.
Ah, okay.
We're looking for a cluster of tells that all happen in response to a specific change, a variable. And we trust them because, honestly, it's just biology.
How so?
Well, our words, our direct communication, that's all filtered through the prefrontal cortex. That's the part of the brain for, control, planning, being polite. It's slow.
And the reaction?
The reaction is often a limbic system response. It's gut level. It's automatic. And it is so much faster. So before your brain can construct the smooth, professional answer,
Everything's great.
I'm fine, exactly, the automatic reaction has already sent a signal. A tight voice, a quick glance over at the manager, the shoulders tensing up. That tiny delay, that's where the truth lives.
Let's make this practical. Think about a meeting. Someone asks a totally neutral question like, how was your weekend?
The question is the constant. The reactions are the mirrors. So you watch three different people. The first one answers quickly, makes good eye contact, moves on.
That person feels comfortable, in control.
Yep. Then the second person, they pause. Just for a second. And maybe they glance at the boss who's sitting at the head of the table, and then they give this very polished, almost rehearsed response.
Okay, so they're aware of being evaluated.
Deeply aware. And then the third person, you see their jaw just tighten for a millisecond, their shoulders go up, and then a smile switches on and they say, oh, it was fantastic, thanks.
Same question, but you've just received 3 completely different, really valuable data points about the invisible reality of that team.
Comfort levels, awareness of hierarchy, and the existence of some tension that someone is working very hard to cover up.
So the fundamental problem we're all dealing with is that direct information, what people say, it can be unreliable.
We're all taught to protect ourselves, to sound professional, to say the right thing.
So if words are designed to manage reality, how do we get to the truth?
We look at the automatic responses because those are so hard to fake. You can't see organizational politics written down anywhere. But you absolutely see people get stiff when the CEO's name gets mentioned. That physiological shift, that's honest data.
This also helps you figure out who has the real authority, not just the formal title.
Oh, absolutely. The org chart says someone's a vice president, but you find out who has the actual power by watching who people automatically defer to. Who do they stop talking to, contradict?
That's the operational reality.
And it's the same for priorities. The mission statement might say innovation, but you find out the actual priority by watching behavior. Which meetings do people show up to early, totally focused?
And which ones do they skip or just spend the whole time on their laptop?
Exactly. If everyone bails on the innovation meeting to get to the budget review, well, the budget review is the real priority. You just have to follow the attention.
Okay, so that helps us read the existing system. But you're saying the real magic happens when a variable changes, when something shifts.
Yes. Those moments of transition are when the hidden dynamics flash into view, just for a second. It's when the automatic response gets out before the controlled one can stop it.
Give me an example.
A new person joins a meeting. Just watch everyone's posture. Do they sit up straighter? That signals authority. Do they sort of turn inward like a protective circle? That might signal they see the new person as an outsider or even a threat.
Or what about when a specific project is mentioned, one that everyone knows is in trouble?
Perfect example. The project name comes up, and suddenly 3 people are intensely interested in their phones. That's synchronized avoidance. That's a massive nonverbal signal. It screams political risk.
And what about seeing how risk is spread around a team?
You can see it instantly. A manager asks for volunteers for a tough new assignment, and the room just goes dead silent. The tension builds and builds until finally,
The most junior person speaks up.
the most junior person or the newest hire. That silence tells you everything. It shows you that the senior people are using silence as a shield, and risk is being pushed down the ladder.
We see this in email, too.
All the time. You have an email chain is moving fast, people are being candid. Then someone CCs a specific executive, maybe someone from legal or compliance.
And the whole thing just grinds to a halt.
The brakes slam on, the language gets formal, and it takes hours to get a reply. That delay is the data. It's an invisible check on free expression.
So what's crucial here is that you're not interrogating anyone. You're not asking, is everything okay? You're just observing.
You're deducing. If you notice a room visibly relaxes the second a certain person leaves, well, that person creates tension. The collective sigh of relief is your evidence.
If conversations stop cold every time you walk over,
You're not trusted yet. You're not in the inner circle. It's that simple.
and if your questions get vague, corporate speak answers, but then you see a colleague ask the same thing and get specific details.
That tells you everything you need to know about your current level of access. You're getting surface info, not the operational truth.
This skill seems absolutely critical for anyone starting a new job or joining a new team. It's like a secret advantage.
It is the integration advantage.
Mhm.
Everyone gives you the employee handbook and the official welcome, but those things rarely describe the invisible systems that are actually running the place.
And most people, their instinct is to jump in immediately, start sharing ideas, try to prove their value from day one.
Which feels productive, but you're flying blind. You might accidentally challenge an invisible rule or align yourself with someone who has no real influence. You skip the most important step, mapping the terrain.
So the better approach is what? Strategic observation.
For the first few weeks, yeah. Talk half as much, watch twice as much. Your job is to map the energy, to understand the gap between what the company says it values and what it actually rewards.
That is a huge distinction. A company can say its value is radical transparency.
But if every important decision gets made in a closed-door meeting you're not invited to, then the demonstrated value is private control. And you need to know which game you're actually playing.
So what are you tracking specifically?
Patterns. Does leadership actually want input, or do they want compliance? When someone makes a mistake, is it treated like a learning opportunity for the team?
Or is it career damage that everyone else runs away from?
Exactly. The behavior tells you the truth. Someone pitches an idea that contradicts a senior leader. Does the room engage with it, or do they all find a way to gently shut it down? That tells you if critical thinking is safe or dangerous.
Okay, so let's make this a practical method. How does someone listening do this systematically?
We can break it down into 4 steps. Step 1 is the most important. Start with silence. You have to enter observation mode. Resist that urge to prove your worth by talking. Understanding the system first is way more valuable. Your first job is data collection.
Step 2, you said, is pay attention to transitions.
Yes, these are the flashpoints. Watch what happens when a boss enters or leaves a room. People's posture and tone instantly change. Or watch when a topic shifts abruptly. If the team is talking about deadlines and someone mentions a supplier, and suddenly everyone's talking about the weather,
You just learned something really important about that supplier.
that awkward shift is the data point.
Okay, step 3.
Step 3 is notice discrepancies. This is where the truth lives, in that gap between the stated reality and the revealed reality. The project manager says everything is on track, but the senior engineers are exchanging these long, uncomfortable looks across the table.
The official story and the body language are telling 2 different stories.
And you believe the body language. or a decision is presented as a collaborative choice, but you can see half the room is seething. It was clearly made somewhere else.
And the final step.
Step 4 is track your own impact. You have to use yourself as a variable in the system. When you speak up in a meeting, do people lean in? Do they ask follow-up questions?
Or do they just sort of nod politely and then immediately change the subject back to what it was before, like you were an interruption?
Right. When you ask a key question, do you get a real answer with details or do you get a deflection? Your effect on the room tells you exactly where you stand.
What's powerful about this is that it's not manipulation, it's just comprehension. We're wired to do this anyway for social survival. This is just honing that skill.
That's all it is. And the mirrors are always there. Every hesitation, every glance, it's all reflecting something real about the system you're in. You don't have to force the truth out. It's already being displayed.
You just have to learn how to read the effects. Then you'll know what's actually happening, no matter what anyone says is happening. That's a profound shift in perspective.
It is. It puts the power of understanding right back in your own hands.
So, if the goal is really to talk half as much and watch twice as much, I'll leave you with this question. What are the invisible rules that your own automatic responses are broadcasting right now about your comfort, your real priorities, or your own internal tensions? To anyone who happens to be watching.